I want to I just feel like you're so plugged in and you're sort of straddling two worlds. You've got sort of old school construction on the one hand, new age tech on the other hand. Over the last 10 years, since you've been really actively doing this, what would be the salient changes to this space that you've observed? What can you point to and say, this is different now as a result of not just builder trend? I'm talking CRMs, ERPs, accounting tools, project management tools, things like company cam. I mean, there's just so many products and services out there. What can you say is different about the industry now than it was as a result of this huge onslaught of SaaS products?
Yeah, well, I think you're just seeing, again, big pictures. Like, you're seeing so much more money flow into this industry because it is so fragmented. And where you find a fragmented industry, there's a ton of opportunity, a lot of asymmetric risk versus reward, if you will. It's also historically had a very low NPS score, Net Promoter Score.
Yes.
So that's even a bigger opportunity when you can really provide a better customer experience. So venture capitalists, private equity are pouring money into this industry left and right, and therefore the technology is coming with it. And therefore, a lot more sophisticated businessmen and women are also pouring into it that really understand systems, processes, and how to scale a company.
I don't want to I worry I sound like a jerk when I say this. This isn't like a judgmental comment. I'm just saying it because it's descriptive. Would you say the days of like the chuck in the truck, like very old school approach to this type of business, would you say their days are numbered as a result of this smart money coming in?
I don't. Because construction in real estate in general is like, don't quote me on this, but I want to say it's the largest asset class in the world, actually. So there's plenty of pie to go around for everybody, but I do think they will become more disenfranchised if they don't, start to leverage technology, understand scale, understanding that you need to leverage technology to scale, not just add more people. You will slowly but surely see those companies fade away because they're not being nearly as competitive, just because the space is becoming more competitive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what would you say the big implications are for, so you say venture capitalists are coming, they see the opportunity, it's fragmented, it's ripe for disruption, the NPS score is low, meaning customers are, there's a gap there where customers could be served better and brands could be built better, and therefore there's a market, in other words. So they come. What do you think the implications are for business owners in this space right now? Someone listening in their truck right now who probably has a CRM, might be using Buildertrend, might be using some other things. With this change that is afoot, what do you think they need to be aware of? What are the big picture trends that you see that you're kind of fascinated by that you would just put on their radar?
Yeah, I was actually just looking at it before we hopped on this, and modularization is really interesting to me. 3D printing is really interesting to me. And then obviously the normal AI robotics coming into play. That's a little bit further down the line, but I see a lot more just consistency in the industry, and a lot more low cost construction in the industry, just because houses are becoming so unaffordable on so many levels due to monetary and fiscal policy errors, in my opinion. So, I think, does that help answer your question? Am I getting to the root of what you're asking?
No, it totally does. I don't know if you could shed some light on maybe two of those. What do you mean by modularization, and give us some examples, and then same thing for the 3D printing side.
Right. So just along the lines of things becoming so expensive and people can't afford them. I think I saw a statistic today that, based on the average salary, the average home costs 9x what that is nationally. So you're looking for a lot more low-cost housing in some capacity, and that's what modularization is providing. Think of California, for example. You got multi-million-dollar houses that might only be 1,500 square foot. You can actually put a ADU in your backyard that costs $200,000, $300,000, and you'll call it a casita, right? So those are a lot of more low-cost options that people are turning to, whether that's to just have as kind of their actual residence, or maybe moving their grandparents in or their parents in that are getting older, and so that they can take care of them, and selling the house down the street. for $2 million, but then only getting an ADU for $300K. So ADUs are really, really popular, especially out in California right now.
I have a buddy that does. He's the main business development guy for here in Vancouver, Canada. They call them
all about
laneway houses, or carriageway houses. And they've been slammed for a decade. I think they're booked out 3 years.
Oh yeah,
they build really nice, like the nicest ADUs you've ever seen. But
yep.
So it's kind of like it's densification. We need to get more people into less space for fewer dollars because things are getting so expensive. On the 3D printing front, I mean, it sounds almost sci-fi. Like are we going to see these large scale like huge 3D printers on a site, like bzz, 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 kind of like printing out a foundation and walls and stuff, or is that does it look different?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you're going to see. It's definitely further down the line, but I think this is kind of the inflection point of it too, being that, housing prices are so unaffordable, and people are seeing that now. Interest rates just crossed 7%. So you're absolutely going to see those lower cost neighborhoods that are built from 3D printing, and they're mostly made of cement, which is a lot lower cost than lumber would be. So the cool thing about it too is if you looked at some of these houses, you wouldn't even know that there's a difference between a house built with lumber versus one that's built with cement, unless you really looked at the specs behind it. So it's really fascinating.
If you were sitting in the living room, you wouldn't be able to tell, though.
Yep, some of them. Yeah. Obviously, some of them as well, but the technology is getting there, and therefore the craftsmanship as well.
It's an interesting comment you make about the venture capitalists in the market. I feel like we are at a very steep part of the curve and likely other industries have gone through what we are going through right now already. You look at fintech in the financial industry. You look at the way medicine has changed. You look at the way even hospitality to some degree, which is still a manual business, has evolved. We're kind of like at the early stages of the growth and innovation curve that those places are right now. And you have a few takes on what could be. It's really hard to nail exactly what will happen, but what seems abundantly clear is that it's not going to look like this for very much longer, generally speaking. Wouldn't that be safe to say?
Very safe to say. I think wherever investment goes, which it's going to construction, it's going to property technology, you're going to see a ton of innovation wherever that investment flows.
And there is a ton of money. I don't know. Maybe you read this article too. I'm going to botch it. BlackRock, big money, is just buying up swaths.
BlackRock runs the world.
Swaths of rental units. They're buying big multifamily rental units because being a landlord is going to be big business for many years to come, which creeps the hell out of me, if I'm honest. That's maybe not a good thing. But you'd rather be aware that is where investment is going than sort of be naive about it. So yeah, man, your guess is as good as mine. I think we're in for kind of an interesting ride. Listen, if you like that clip, you can watch the full episode by clicking here. If you're not yet subscribed, you probably should be, and you can do that by clicking right here.